Hello, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome to the Arrowhead Kingdom CHIEFScast live from the MKE, where we will be talking Chiefs and all things NFL. As always, I'm Josh. Chris will be jumping on here really quickly, and today we're going to be talking about the offseason that will not die with our guest, Shaggy Shane. So welcome, Shaggy Shane.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, guys.
Good stuff. Big reminder that all Chiefs fans are invited to join us for game day. Please visit arrowheadkingdom.org to learn more about the group and to find your local chapter. And please also make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are, of course, presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth, lighting, and coordination services. Please visit them at completewedo.com. And we're going to go ahead and jump into stuff. Chris's internet, which is working about as well as the Packers and Aaron Rodgers are together, get back on. And so, Shane, welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just an average, ordinary Kansas City Chiefs loudmouth fan. I've had a YouTube on for about the past 6 years, and was a Chiefs season ticket holder from 1991 to 2011. I go to most of the Chiefs games that I want to go to, which is basically most of them. And I'm just your average Chiefs fan, just like you, just 4 miles east of the Truman Sports Complex, loving Chiefs. And I'll be at training camp next Saturday.
Nice. I think that makes you a little more than average that you live that close to Truman Sports Complex and get to go whenever you want to. I think that all three of us would trade places with that arrangement here pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how we categorize ourselves as well. We're just huge Chiefs fans. I mean, we kind of look at this whole Arrowhead Kingdom thing that we're doing. We're truly a fan for them. You know, none of us are professional journalists or anything like that. We just
right. Well, it's an exciting time to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan, especially the last 4 years since the Chiefs have drafted Patrick Mahomes out of Texas Tech. You know, as I said before he was drafted on my mock draft 2017, I said the Chiefs got to get this kid out of Tech. You know, I said, yeah, I mean, those that know me know that I've championed this kid before he was drafted. And since he's came to Kansas City, even the year he was sat on the bench behind Alex Smith, you know, you knew there was something special in the future. And guys, we're living it. We're living this awesome dream with this stud quarterback who's the future face and the current face of the National Football League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the league definitely pays attention when he talks, which is exciting to have that guy on our team because I can't think of a time, you know, where we had that. Probably the closest thing in my lifetime has been Derek Thomas, but even then, I don't know that you could ever have said that he was the face of the league. I mean, at that point, I don't know who it would have been, but you know, you're probably looking at like a Phil Sims or somebody to that effect.
It would have been a quarterback. It's always the quarterback.
You know,
it's always John Elway, Dan Marino, Brett Favre. The face of the league is always a quarterback, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is what it is, and I don't see a world where that changes ever.
Right.
You know, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about quarterback. And you said you're going to be going to training camp. So
Saturday.
What are you going to be looking for at training camp? I mean, what are you specifically going to be looking for from Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes is the usual, to be precise, be the leader, to keep the offensive line, to be vocal and keep the offensive line and offense in motion. But specific position battles I'm looking for is going to be wide receiver and cornerback. They're going to be head to head. I want to see who gets the second and third wide receiver position. I really love Byron Pringle. He's worked his way up. Every time Sammy Watkins missed a game, Byron Pringle was clutch, man. Byron Pringle always came in and stepped in and delivered. The offense did not slow down with Byron Pringle in the offense. Granted, you have a second-round draft pick in McCole Hardman. You're still waiting to see him have a full season to where it warranted picking him over DK Metcalf, but we have seen flashes from McCole Hardman, and we want to see him ascend. Demarcus Robinson had some bad film last year. You know, he's clicked with Patrick Mahomes his first few years, but there was way too much bad film on Demarcus Robinson last year with him not running a pass pattern correctly in the Raiders game on Sunday Night Football, and the pass was intercepted. And Patrick Mahomes was telling Demarcus Robinson, "No, you got to come back. You got to come back." and Chris Collinsworth echoing what Patrick Mahomes was saying during that game. Also toward Demarcus Robinson running a punt return backwards 10 yards against the Saints before fumbling and out of the back of the end zone. So you want to see Demarcus Robinson improve because, well, last year was a down year for Demarcus Robinson. Antonio Callaway is an interesting story. He's only 24 years old. He was somebody we picked up in February or late January from the Cleveland Browns who fell out of favor due to an off the field issue. But he has some good film. If you look up Antonio Callaway on YouTube with the Browns, he caught some big passes for them. And again, he's only 24. So I want to see him in a training camp next week, as well as, of course, Tyreek Hill, the number one wide receiver, the 5th round draft pick, Cornell Powell at Clemson. People think he's going to be a stud. And as far as the DBs, which will be going up against the wide receivers, I want to see Mike Hughes. He was the number one draft pick out of Central Florida in 2018 with the Vikings, 30th overall pick. He fell out of favor with the Vikings for injuries, but they said he's at camp and he's doing a solid job. He's an important replacement for Bashaud Breeland, who ironically went to Minnesota. So the Chiefs' lone veteran in the defensive backfield at cornerback position is going to be Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward gets the biggest knock from a lot of the critics, but he's a seasoned veteran. So with Mike Hughes, Charvarius Ward, Rashad Fenton, and the rest of the cornerbacks, I want to see how they play, and naturally they go head to head with the Chiefs wide receivers. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch. I'm not going to say I'm going to ignore our stud offensive line and the new interior defensive line. Andy Reid said Frank Clark will be at training camp next week. So that's great. I want to see them all, but specific close battles I want to watch is wide receivers and cornerbacks.
So let me ask you this. Doing basic math and thinking about how many end up normally making an NFL roster, you probably rattled off more names than are going to make the NFL roster in both of those two positions. So what are you thinking is going to be our roster that we go to battle with as soon as the regular season starts?
Oh, at corner?
Yeah, let's do corner first. Let's do corner first.
Well, Charvarius Ward, I think he'll make the team because he's a veteran. I think Mike Hughes will be there, Rashad Fenton, and there's a name that's escaping me. Who else am I forgetting on cornerback?
L'Jarius Sneed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got you, Shane.
I even talked about L'Jarius. I even talked about L'Jarius Sneed last week on my show being the steal of last year's draft. I knew there was somebody. I was like, man, why am I forgetting somebody? Shame on Shaggy for forgetting him. L'Jarius Sneed, the experts even said L'Jarius Sneed, if they did the draft over this year, that L'Jarius Sneed would be a number one draft pick. So they want to move Sneed from nickel to outside. I think Sneed is going to be the man to replace Breeland, but I think Mike Hughes is going to give him competition, or Mike Hughes is going to challenge Charvarius Ward with either Rashad Fenton or another corner battling it out.
DeAndre Baker.
I said, yeah, DeAndre Baker. He's reporting today. They're having veterans that are injured report today. Taco Charlton, DeAndre Baker, and there's another veteran that is reported today, a few days earlier than the veterans. So yes, DeAndre Baker's in the mix, and if he wouldn't have suffered that strange, terrible injury the last week of the season, when they put in all the backups against the Chargers, I think we'd be feeling a little more optimistic about him. So I want to see how DeAndre Baker responds, because that was a horrific seeing him land on the field for that long against the Chargers. I want to see him in the mix. So before I say who's going to be the starter, I want to see him first. And granted, you know what we're going to see this year? We're going to see 3 preseason games. We didn't have any preseason games last year to even get an assessment of who's showing what. So that is going to be something that really I look forward to. So I look forward to Rashad Fenton challenging the nickel spot, but definitely L'Jarius Sneed winning that outside spot that Bashaud Breeland lost. Yeah.
So talking about Baker, what's his timeline to actually be able to play? Because I got the impression that he had something that was, if everything goes perfectly, a 6-month injury, but it wasn't out of the question that it could be 12 months. Did I hear that incorrectly? Because I thought he actually broke something. I thought he actually broke something.
So did I. And until I can see him move on the field, and there's going to be the media's there this week watching DeAndre Baker, so the media is going to have an earlier judge of that before the fans jump in next weekend. So I'm anxious to see how DeAndre Baker looks, because if he's at 100%, that changes the dimension even more between, does Rashad Fenton make the team? Does Mike Hughes make the team? Does Charvarius Ward get cut? Because if you got a healthy DeAndre Baker and a healthy Mike Hughes, and that could change the entire landscape of the Chiefs cornerback position going into the season.
1,000% agree with you. 1,000%. So the wide receiver one's probably the tougher call. It sounds like you're pretty high on expecting Byron Pringle's going to be taking that number 2 spot. And
I think he'll get every chance to take it. I think they want McCole Hardman to take it because they invested a 2nd-round draft pick and picked him over DK Metcalf. So I think they want to give McCole Hardman the chance of winning it. But honestly, I was a Sammy Watkins fan, a huge fan. I love the signing. I met him after they won the Super Bowl at a meet and greet. He was just the coolest dude. He said he wanted to stay in Kansas City long term, but he couldn't stay healthy. So every time Byron Pringle filled in for Sammy Watkins, the offense didn't slow down. He made the catches, and he's the underdog story. We all love the underdog story until they fail. I was a huge Ben Neiman fan because he was a nobody in 2018. He had a great training camp and a great preseason. Ben Neiman beat out Dorian O'Daniel. Ben Neiman is still, after 3 years in the NFL and 2 different defensive coordinators, is still on the field in nickel situations. Now, to be honest, Ben Neiman showed he's a liability, though. There's a lot of times he'll miss a tackle or he's too slow, and he looks like that undrafted player that wasn't even invited to the combines before he became a pro. There's, like I said, there's a lot of bad tape on Ben Neiman because of his struggles. But as fans, we always, when we show up at training camp, when we start watching the preseason, we look at the nobody out there, like, who's this guy making all these plays regardless of any position, and then we become a fan of theirs. Ben Neiman can say, hey, I've been in the league going on 4 years now, and I beat out 3rd-round draft pick Dorian O'Daniel. So you can knock me all you want, but still, as long as Steve Spagnuolo keeps putting Ben Neiman out there to play, then he gets the props for being on the field. But I do believe Nick Bolton will eventually be the successor of Ben Neiman in those nickel situations this season, once Nick Bolton gets a grasp of the Steve Spagnuolo's defense.
Gotcha. Yep. So there's some names to look out for. So Nick Bolton, Ben Neiman, Demarcus Robinson. You made some interesting comments about him. I've thought he was interesting these past 2 years. It seems like he tried to leave either of these past 2 seasons, and nobody wanted to throw any money at him. So you might as well come back and get Patrick Mahomes to chuck the ball at you.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we roll out of training camp. We go through the preseason. We get our roster set and everything. We start getting into the regular season. Let's talk the AFC West, and what are you thinking we're going to be seeing from the AFC West? So let's go kind of order of final standings. And if you think anybody else is going to be yanking a playoff spot besides us, I'm assuming you're just going to say that we're going to win the division again like normal.
Oh, I do. Now 17 games schedule is going to be interesting because I always want to say 14-2 or 12-4. Can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So, Lord willing, we stay healthy. I think the Chiefs will be 14-3. And I know some people think, well, you think we're going to lose 3 games? Who are we going to lose to? Who is we going to lose to? I'm not going to make that prediction. It just always happens. And
we have a whole episode where we break that down, by the way.
I know.
That was fun. But
it's just, I think 14-3. I think the Chargers, if they stay healthy, they should be a good team. But how many years in a row have we been saying that? The NFL experts always predict the Chargers as a surprise team to eventually win the West. It's a joke that they want the Chargers, but the NFL Network's 2 miles from Chargers' new stadium, so I understand why they all love them. I think the Raiders and Broncos will battle it out for 3rd and 4th place. I don't know why the Raiders want to stick with Derek Carr. He hasn't been the same since he had his leg broke on Christmas Eve 2016. He did good against Derek Carr did good against the Chiefs last year in 2 games. I mean, let's be freaking real. I don't know why. Dude, and don't get me wrong, I hate the Raiders, but for some reason, Derek Carr looked great in 2 games against the Chiefs last year. Other than that, he's been terrible against the Chiefs. But I still don't think Derek Carr has done enough to warrant being their quarterback this year. That's just my opinion. I'm a Chiefs fan and I hate the Raiders. So that on that. Denver, gosh, we've been hearing that they're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers since what? The draft, since April. So I think that if they're going to do it, they better hurry up and do it, because if not, then they got to go with Drew Lock again. They had a chance to draft a quarterback with the 9th overall pick in April, and they took Patrick Surtain's son, Patrick Surtain Jr., cornerback. So I like the Chiefs at 14-3. I'll say the Chargers at 11-4, and Denver and the Raiders will both be 8-9.
Gotcha. Chargers 11-6. Is that a playoff wild card berth?
I think so.
I think it probably is as well. Yeah, I would say that we're pretty aligned with that. Do you think that there's a possibility? Because some of the sports talk, if you listen to the daytime talking head type of stuff, they paint a situation. Colin Cowherd, I think, does it better than anybody else. But he paints a situation where the Packers could keep Rodgers until their bye week, and basically go 7-2. And send Rodgers to the Broncos when the Broncos are probably 2-7, and
wow.
None of this matters. Have you heard him throw that scenario out?
No, that is the strangest scenario I've heard since somebody told me to listen to Alex Jones.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting when you listen to it. There's your sensibilities just say this isn't happening. He's either getting traded before the beginning of the season or not. But it's kind of a fascinating scenario he lays out. I mean, you look at the NBA, and star players have made it clear they're going to play where they want to. I think the Major League Baseball has a little bit of that as well. I kind of see the NFL dying on the hill, and that's not how it goes. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins was able to kind of do that, but there's, a bigger mess in Houston than anything. I don't know. I'm not seeing Aaron Rodgers forcing his way out of town without the Packers being complicit.
The entire Green Bay Packers situation is a mess, from the front office to the GM. The fact that they broke this relationship up, somebody asked Andy Reid about it in his press conference yesterday, and Andy Reid said, hey, they asked him, how are you going to keep your relationship with Patrick Mahomes looking at the Green Bay Packers situation? And Andy Reid just said, hey, it's like a marriage. You don't ask somebody else about somebody else's marriage. And my response to the whole Green Bay Packers situation, it is bad. It is a mess from the front office to Aaron Rodgers. Yep. And when you look at it in totality, how I look at it, I realized that Aaron Rodgers was upset that they didn't draft him a wide receiver in 2020. But in my opinion, you got to be a pro. You're Aaron Rodgers. And the last 2 NFC Championship games, Aaron Rodgers has been really bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, after we celebrated the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl in 2019, we turned on the NFC Championship game 20 minutes after it started, and I think it was already 20-0 49ers. So, and then fast forward 6 months ago in the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field, the Green Bay Packers defense intercepted Tom Brady 3 times in the second half, and Aaron Rodgers still couldn't get it done. With 2.5 minutes left in the freaking game, all Aaron Rodgers had to do when he was moved out of the pocket was run in from 7 yards, but he tried to force the pass into double coverage, and it was broken up. Big players make big plays in big-time games. That's what Pat Mahomes Sr. says to his son before every game. It's Pat Mahomes Sr. saying that I'm going to steal right here. Yeah. And when you look in totality in postseason games in the biggest moment, where do these players make that play? Aaron Rodgers in his totality in the playoffs hasn't made it. Patrick Mahomes has made it. People look at Joe Montana's stats and think, well, Joe Montana wasn't that good of a quarterback. But you know what he did in the playoffs? He made the plays. Aaron Rodgers hasn't made the plays. But you know what? I'm in the minority because people look at me saying that, think, whoa, dude, You can't be saying that about Aaron Rodgers. He's the face of the NFL. He's won 2 MVPs. He's this, he's that, he's that, he's this. He's won 1 Super Bowl. And he's going to be 38 years old in December. If he retires this week, legitimately retires, I look at it and think, you know what? Seeing how you've played on the biggest stage in the biggest moment in the NFC Championship game where you came up way short, then I got to say, enjoy retirement, pal. It's your decision. You don't want to come out and say, damn it, I've lost the last 2 NFC Championship games where I sucked. I didn't get out there and make the plays. I want to get my team to the Super Bowl. Yeah, my front office is really crappy and can't give me any weapons. I'm going to go out there and be the man. He doesn't want to be the man. He wants to have the soap opera. So if he retires this week, enjoy retirement. You will be a first down. Let me get this straight. Aaron Rodgers will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not going to take that away from him. He did take the Packers to a Super Bowl and won it. But I just think looking at it the last 3 years, blah, 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 Aaron Rodgers, soap opera, blah, blah. Dude, you sucked on the big stage, the biggest games, and enjoy retirement, pal.
Yeah, the one argument that I would make, I want to say it was a 2014 season, that play against Dallas to get him to that AFC or that NFC Championship game against the Seahawks where you had the fumbled onside kick. I think that he was on it for that one. But outside of that, I think you're completely right. I remember going to that AFC Championship game where we played the Titans. By the time we got back to the hotel, I mean, it's like you said, it wasn't a game.
Right.
My lasting memory of that drive back to the hotel was listening to the Fight for Your Right to Party on loop on whatever the radio station was for 2 hours. And actually for our Super Bowl party up here in Milwaukee, I got a bunch of silent disco headphones around and I had a channel that was that song on loop the entire time. So anytime we weren't feeling good about stuff, you would just see the thing switch to green, which was green means go, and that would be the song. And
you know it.
Exactly. So that worked out really well. But no, I mean, that was never a game. And I think we watched till the very end, then we watched Remember the Titans.
Perfect.
But yeah, that was a good night. But yeah, I mean, living up here in ground zero of the Green Bay.
Oh my gosh, you're surrounded by Aaron Rodgers fans. I'm sorry. Hope they don't hate me.
Here's the thing. There's more that agree with you than you think. There's more that agree with you than you think. I mean, Chris, tell me what you think the percentage is, but I would say that somewhere between 1 out of every 2 or 2 out of every 3 Packers fans say something close to what you just said, honestly.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think I think my favorite part about this is if Aaron Rodgers does announce his retirement, that he will be a first-round draft pick in that show Dancing with the Stars. So
yeah.
True.
I hope he hosts Jeopardy. You know, I hope he hosts Jeopardy. I've been rooting for him on that. Wouldn't be upset if they take LeVar Burton. I think those two are this is the 2 draft picks that we're trying to go between. I don't know if it's Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf or if it's whatever it is. I think they could both be good, but
he's gonna look back at in a few years after he retires, and he's going to do a total face palm thinking, oh my gosh, why did I end my career in such drama and such stupidity? Joe Montana did an interview last year, said he regrets retiring before the 1995 season. He knew in 1995, man, I retired too early. I wish I would have came back and played because we had a good enough team. And we, as Chiefs Kingdom, we know what happened in 95. So Aaron Rodgers is going to look back and regret all this unnecessary stupidity.
Yeah, Montana had a year left on his contract too.
Yeah.
When he retired.
Yeah. He did an interview last year, like I said, wishing, man, I wish I would have came back in 95. I retired a year too soon. And now Aaron Rodgers is still healthy. So if he wants to retire because he's mad because they didn't draft him weapons, then while the front office should have respected him, it didn't warrant this level of ignorance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, just think from like a corporate standpoint, the line that I've always liked when you're talking about business relations, there's more important things than being right, and sometimes you just need to get to that point, and I think both sides kind of need to be there. Completely agree with you on Aaron Rodgers. At the same time, fire Mark Murphy. It's like this is your
right.
This is your fault. This is your fault. I mean, if the Packers had an owner, there's a strong possibility they're not in Green Bay anymore, but I don't think this goes down. I mean, can you picture somebody like Clark Hunt letting this happen.
Never.
It can't. I mean, one of my favorite stories about an owner that just doesn't let stuff happen. I don't know how much you get into NASCAR, but Hendrick Motorsports is the crown jewel of NASCAR. That's the Chevy organization. And before Jimmy Johnson won 7 titles, he and his crew chief, Chad Knaus, weren't getting along. And Rick Hendrick at one point got tired of him being petty. And it was pretty similar, according to the insider type of people, to what's going on right now with the Packers. It was the same type of dynamic. So he gets a bag of Oreos, he gets a carton of milk, he calls them into a conference room and goes, all right, children, if you're going to be effing kids about this, here's some milk and cookies. Talk it out. Don't come out of here until you fix it. And then they went on and won 7 titles. It just,
there you go.
Yeah, just it doesn't have to be this way.
Right. And so, I feel sorry for the Packer fans because they're diehards, man. They are diehards. 100%. They live and breathe freaking Lambeau Field. Even when the Packers were under 500, the first year Aaron Rodgers became a starter, those fans go to every game and freeze their butts off and just pack the stadium. I feel so bad for the Packers because the Packer fans do not deserve this at all. They've had 2 stud quarterbacks in a row. They were blessed with that. They went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and the past 29 years have just been filled with glorious quarterbacks, and they want to end it this way. And indeed, they need to freaking get in there with the cookies and milk and sort this out. It's shame on them to doing that to freaking the great Packer fans.
Yeah. All right. So
imagine going through this after an MVP season as well. It's like they're treating the MVP like this, for crying out loud.
Right. It's insane.
Yeah. It's just dumb with a capital D. So let's talk about that other quarterback. What are your thoughts on Tom Brady and what should happen to the Buccaneers with this whole injury thing?
You know, we don't have proof. We don't have proof. We have to take it for what it's worth. I hear some people say that my right-hand man, Lance Twidwell of The Spoken, really said he doesn't buy it because of the fact Lance has done some search on the specific injury of Tom Brady to say that he didn't really, there's no way that injury actually could have happened because it would have taken too long to rehab. So until I get in, and I'm not really looking because I think Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. It sucks to say, it hurts. I feel a stab in my heart when I do say that, because I was there at the AFC Championship game in 2018, as well as, I remember. But I don't know, man. It's definitely got some doubt. I don't think it might have been as severe as he's saying it is. What do you think?
100% what you're saying. I mean, you can't walk if you have a fully torn MCL. You can't fully tear a ligament and still walk. I mean, I've 70% torn an ACL. And I know that that's different. So that's the one your hamstring protects. I mean, the MCL is on the inside of your knee, medial inside. Right. And but it keeps your knee from going back and forth. And there's not a brace in the world that exists that doesn't hold your leg completely straight. So, it was strained. It was strained.
Right.
And I believe that. And I also believe that every other ligament that he had in his body was strained after playing 19 NFL games.
Right.
Or they would have had to have played. They would have had to play 20 because they didn't get a bye. So yeah, I mean, of course it was strained. I don't even feel as much of a stab in the heart. I've pretty much always been a Brady fan, and I'll say that to anybody. I've always admired the guy. I've always appreciated what he's done, and this to me is just one more like stupid thing where everybody can say that he's a cheater and the Patriots are cheaters and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they're just better and they're willing to do things that
he gets it done. And his play, I mean, I'm not saying anything that nobody hasn't heard before, but being at Arrowhead Stadium for the 2018 AFC Championship game with 78,000 fans screaming, it was freaking loud, even though it was 5 below wind chill or 10 below wind chill. The fans were loud, and 3 3rd and 10s in overtime. He was accurate with those passes he threw to Julian Edelman and the last one to Gronkowski in overtime on 3rd and 10 were pinpoint. They were on the money. There was no blown coverage. If you look at it, I mean, pass to Charvarius Ward over Charvarius Ward, just out of his hand, just on the money to Edelman. The dude is clutch. And that's what I'm talking about between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
Big players.
Aaron Rodgers can put up all these stats. Oh man, Aaron Rodgers completion percentage. Aaron Rodgers, but you know what? On 3rd and 10, it was 78,000 screaming Arrowhead fans. Tom Brady put the ball on the money 3 freaking times, and he did it. And so my hat's off to Tom Brady, but people just hate him. No, Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady is the GOAT. He gets it done when he has to. Yes, the deflated balls. The referees do favors him more than some, but in overtime against the Chiefs AFC Championship game, he was money. He put it right on the freaking money. 3 passes, 2 to Edelman and 1 to Gronkowski, and with good coverage. So Brady is the GOAT.
Yep. Agree.
Is it an oxymoron to say the greatest of all time so far?
Well, he's got 7 Super Bowls until Patrick wins 6 more.
Yeah. Okay. So far, the greatest of all time.
Exactly. I mean,
so far,
he's
Right,
hitting,
so far.
he's hitting the realm.
I guess we should call it GOAT as we stand.
Exactly. I mean, he's hitting the realm of where Michael Jordan is for most NBA fans. It's like there's very little that you're going to see somebody over 40 years old say that can happen to make him change their mind that Michael Jordan.
I push back on that. I do have pushback on that. The only difference you could say is Jordan and LeBron, Brady and the Mahomes are playing in the league at the same time. At least there's some overlap there versus LeBron.
Yeah, that's true, which isn't making this argument stronger. Unfortunately, there's too many bad head-to-heads. But all right, so the way that we always try to wrap everything up is we give everybody a chance to do just a last shot, which is you can talk about anything you want, NFL, Chiefs related or not. But Shane, what's your last shot here for today?
The last shot I want to do is on the new protocol for the NFL, is what they're saying about everybody getting vaccinated or what they're going to do. When it comes to, you're going to lose a week's pay, you're going to lose a game check, your team's going to have to forfeit. I think the NFL controls the situation in a scenario. I'm not going to tell anybody to get vaccinated. I'm not going to tell anybody if I have or not, but I'll go and throw it out there since I brought it up. Yes, I've been vaccinated. These owners and the NFL, Roger Goodell, they can't bring the fans back to the stadium and fluctuate all these games if there's another COVID outbreak. Mm-hmm. So they basically said, we can't do it. So if we do, there's going to be an outbreak and we can't move the game. Your entire team's going to lose pay. So I think it's appropriate that everybody in the NFL does their homework. I know we got Cole Beasley. I know we got DeAndre Hopkins, who are adamant about not getting it. And if they don't want to get it, then they better stay home throughout the week and mask up when they go out to the store. And they better hope and pray that they don't cost their team forfeit or a game check. The Chiefs, Andy Reid, said we're 90% vaccinated yesterday at his press conference, and our coaching staffs are 100% vaccinated. He did say he expects the 10% of the Chiefs players that aren't vaccinated to do the right thing and mask up and be safe while they're at home. Andy Reid's not telling his team to do it, but he is telling them, hey, if you're not, you better do the right thing to make sure that we're safe, the entire team. And he also mentioned them. He continues to say, tell the team that aren't vaccinated to keep checking with the doctors, because there's a lot of things that people are uncomfortable with. And I understand that there are fears. Some people want to wait until it's FDA approved. And I totally understand that. But the NFL putting this down to say, this is the rules, we're sticking to it, we're not going to budge on it. I am behind the National Football League. I wish the players weren't so vocal against it that are against it, because in the great landscape of not only the National Football League, the world, it needs to be addressed. And I hope moving forward that it will be addressed positively. And I stand behind the National Football League.
Yeah, I work for a Fortune 100 company, and I mean, they're handling it the exact same way. That's what it is. It's risk management. It's risk management, and the corporate leaders of the world, have decided that the best risk management situation is to take what's in front of you. And so I'd say that I agree with you as well.
You got to protect your business. I mean,
exactly.
It really is that as well.
Exactly.
There's no good reason for it, in my opinion.
Exactly. I mean, there's no such thing as a good lawsuit, and if one player causes two NFL teams to miss significant time in game checks, I mean, you know exactly what's going to happen. And the
Right.
only way to prevent, those types of lawsuits to not get put in that situation, and threatening people's money is the only way to do it. So, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yes. So there's been a lot of talk here.
And we're
I
freezing
guess
up again.
maybe the preface is the SEC media days. I guess Texas A&M throughout that the University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas are in talks with leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. As far as I've heard, it's happening. There's really no going back. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that it didn't happen sooner. This obviously hits to me and probably all you guys too. I grew up in the Kansas City area. It's Big 8, Big 12 country. Being a KU alum as well. Now I'm going to be sitting on pins and needles, wondering what's going to happen to the University of Kansas and every other school that's going to be left behind in the Big 12. But when they had the major conference realignment 11 years ago, I said this is moving toward probably 4 big conferences, and the Big 12 is probably going to be left out of those 4 big conferences. And I think that this is really the beginning of the end for the Big 12, unfortunately. I hope that there is a good landing spot for all the 8 schools that are not going to the SEC. Selfishly, I hope Texas and Oklahoma get their butts handed to them in football in the SEC, because I just have no love lost for those 2 schools. But there's real possibility that KU could end up in the Big 10, and to be honest with you, that's probably a better situation than the Big 12, because I don't see the Big 10 ever going anywhere. I've just always felt like the Big 12 was just kind of a house of cards waiting to fall at some point, and now it looks like it finally has.
Yep. Brian, you got anything interesting for us?
Yeah. So when we're talking about the kind of training camp discussion, it made me remember a few things. Now, kind of a hodgepodge of things I want to talk about real quick as my parting shot is a few years ago, when I was watching, a few years ago, I'm sitting with my wife now. I've said it before, I'll say it again, but my wife is an immigrant from Ukraine, and didn't follow like the kind of sports we follow here, especially American football. And I remember she started getting interested. Like, I would sit down and watch games, but obviously it was kind of she really didn't get into it. But she started getting into the NFL when we watched a little show on HBO called Hard Knocks. And they followed around the drama of the players around the bubble. There's a lot of drama going on, and obviously this dude's getting hit hard, and you get to know the players a little bit. And then it's fun because you get to follow them through the rest of the season. You get to know the names, and I think it was around the time, actually. I think it was the Raiders Hard Knocks. That was a few years ago with Carr. I was at the quarterback helm, I believe, and he was I think that's when she started kind of like, I think we watched a couple episodes before that, but that's when she was like, that's when she asked specifically, is that football HBO show on again? So I'm like, yes, it's coming on. So this year it's Dallas Cowboys, and I'll be looking forward to watching that one. I've been reading a lot about training camp and a lot of breakdowns, and obviously when you're looking, if you're a football fan, like a hardcore football fan, it can get a little boring. I think, in my opinion, a little boring as a training camp, because you got to know the players, what's at stake, who is playing for what spot, and maybe you've been following the players for a long time, versus this is a nice dramatized way to follow the players, get to know them quickly, and then you get to follow it like in more of a dramatic scenario in this way. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if anyone has a student film level camera and wants to make a YouTube channel doing this kind of documentary for Tim Tebow over in Florida, I would like to watch that, because of course I'll watch the Cowboys version, but watching the Jaguars, like, if you can get in there somehow and make that, because I want to see what's happening with that guy. I know he's a competitor and everything, but I'm really, if this is like the B story or the A story of Hard Knocks, I'd be very interested in the Tim Tebow story. But we are in Dallas for this season, so if anyone has a camera and wants to do that, I'll be tuning in.
Throw a GoPro on Tebow. All right, I'm going to keep mine really quick. We live in Milwaukee, Bucks and 6. It's just electric in the city here. It's been awesome. Got to go to Game 4. It was a great sports atmosphere. Personally, like the AFC Championship against the Titans a little more, but that was pretty fun. But thank you again to our guest Shaggy Shane.
Hey man, no problem, man. I loved it. Maybe I'll get back with you during the regular season, man. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will be at training camp next Saturday, so get on YouTube and just like and subscribe. Shaggy Shane. Just look for search Shaggy Shane Chiefs, and you'll see what we see next weekend, and you'll see what I did last weekend as well as the entire season. I'm honored to be on your show, man. Thanks again, guys. And
yeah, thank you.
Let's get this again, man. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Thanks, Shane.
Hey, man. Thank you.